And welcome again to another episode of my blog, vlog, rambles, general chats, painting, and anything that I feel that I would like to talk about. If you like what I do, please leave a comment and a like, subscribe if you wish. Either way, enjoy. Today I'm just going to run through the space games that I've played over the years, as well as to talk about some of the mechanics that I found good with each of the various games that I've played, the bads, as well as take a look at some of the models that I still have. So I've put on the table the models that I still have other than Star Wars Armada. If you've seen my channel already, you'll notice that I do play a lot of Star Wars Armada, and I've done quite a bit of content for that so far. But this is looking at everything else that I've done in the past. So the first game that I played of Space Battles was a long time ago. It was over 20 years ago. It was a game called Battlefleet Gothic. Unfortunately, all of those models have disappeared from my collections over the various times through either trading, selling, moving house once or twice, things like that. Having a rather annoying sister at one point, but yeah. But it was a good game, and it started my introduction into the idea of space and miniatures. Obviously, most of us are here because we first fell in love with the idea of great space battles, the battles of Battlestar Galactica, the great space battles of Star Wars, even Star Trek. Some of the fleet actions there from the early TOS series, or even all the way up into the likes of TNG, Deep Space Nine action. But, like I said, my first game was Battlefleet Gothic. It was quite lengthy rules, and obviously it had a number of different factions. It was done by Games Workshop, and I still believe that you can get the models for him. I know a number of years ago they released an anniversary edition of Battlefleet Gothic. But these days, if you're wanting that sort of content, you have to go online, look up places like Etsy or Shapeway to get some of the more one-off vessels. But that was then. A few years later, I came across Spartan Games, which I've got two games here that are done by Spartan Games. The first one is this here, called Firestorm Armada. Now, Firestorm Armada version 1 was this faction, which is called, which is basically part of the Drinzelli Empire. It is a sub-faction. It's, I believe it's called the Xenian League. Yeah, there we go, the Xenian League. So these were basically your secret police for the Drinzelli Federation. You also had the likes of aliens, you had the likes of other human factions, all sorts of various types of things, and yeah, it was a good game. The models, as you can see, are rather large and chunky. this one and this one is pretty much a solid block of resin. And if I had pictures of when they were unpainted, you'd see that's pretty chunky piece of resin sort of thing. The smalls, also resin. The later stuff became plastic. And the small over there and also the destroyer in the background are both metal. Now, one thing you'll note is they have a clear plastic stand. All of them are clear plastic stand. You'll also see that each of the stands have the likes of a arc, just like what they do for Star Wars Armada to show left, right, starboard, port side, fore and aft sort of thing. And they have, just like Armada, weapons that can only fire forward, rear, side, and then they also have a couple of special ones that can fire overall, namely, I believe, missiles. In this, you get small, tiny bombers and also fighters. Now, with all of these being quite chunky, I've had to magnetize most of them to keep them on. The larger ones I tried to do as well, but then a few months after I started this game, I also got into Drop Fleet Commander by Hawk War Games, and then it was done. It's currently being done by TTC Combat or TT Combat, I believe. Either way, they came out for their Drop Zone Commander these handy little widgets, which were perfect to use on the stands underneath the model, just like so, and you can actually put them on a lot cleaner, just like so. Now you can see with my design, I was very heavily focused on Battletech, no, Robotech, yeah, Macro Saga stuff sort of thing. The nice clean lines, the slight coloration in it, the red and white really peeks out from the likes of the silver metal frames. I do love the looks of these models, and I wish that they had slightly better rules. Their rules were, to say the least, needed improvement in some areas. Certainly in the fact that a lot of the main factions had a lot of advantages with their weaponry, while these ones were very much short range. You had to get in close to do huge amounts of damage. But either way, it is a nice set of models, and I really enjoy it. I do believe that people still play it, but unfortunately with Spartan now disappeared from industry, it is becoming increasingly rare to actually find much in the way of this game. So that's Firestorm Armada. After Firestorm Armada came and went, Star Wars Miniatures Space Battles came out, and I believe it was brought out, let's see if I can get it, as you can see, 2005. I can't quite remember the manufacturer. It might have been WizKids. As you can see, the bases itself has the same idea. It has arcs on it, although the bases on these ones are pretty much very solid and chunky. You can also see that there is a notch in the front. Rules were very simple. Scale wise, well, as you can see, a Super Star Destroyer is sitting right next to a Star Defender. Fantasy Flight Games has brought out a Super Star Destroyer which would not even fit on the table. This guy pretty much fits in my hand. Or I could use it as a letter opener, maybe, if I sharpened up the point. The Mon Cal cruiser is quite small. Now, in relation to our Star Wars Armada stuff, that right there is the Liberty from FFG. So significant difference in size. So most of these models that I've had over the years from the WizKid game, I haven't been able to utilize. I have been able to modify some, and this is one of them. This is the Rebel Assault Frigate. And theoretically, I can use that as the Nebula B2 frigate. Same pretty much size, shape, all comes pre-colored, pre-painted. Now, this is the second Star Defender that I've got, and size-wise between the two of them are pretty close. So with this one, I have taken off the base, still cleaning it up a little bit more, repainting this area. I'll probably put another bit of paint on it and also clean it up a bit more with sander, and drilled out using a Dremel drill, a keyhole, so I can actually attach it to a Fantasy Flight base. And we'll use that as a variant on the MC at 80. See, just like that. So it's a good game. Rules were very simple. The only side effect of the game was that it was done on a hex-based system of movement, and like I said, scaling was a bit out. You had basically a Venator being the same size as an Imperial, which is pretty much in terms of normal scale would be perfectly all right. But then you had the likes of the Corellian Corvettes and that, which were pretty much almost half the size of the Venator, about yay chunk. Like I said, I don't know where most of them are anymore, so unfortunately I haven't been able to show any on display. They had some action for transport, which I'm hoping that I could potentially utilize in Armada, but I'll keep you posted. The next one is one that I really enjoyed playing and continue to play on occasion today, is Halo Fleet Battles, also by Spartan Games. Its models, very, very nice. Obviously, they work very hard, but the Spartan design team worked very hard to stay true to the designs from the Halo computer games. It differed from the likes of the rest of the models that I've shown today simply from it introduced the idea of a single base. that base there is the same for every single factional card. The only difference is each of them have a base plate on it with different locations for the pegs. So there's a good example. You've got 3 Paris frigates. One is in a triangle formation or a attack formation. The other one is in a defense, or I believe it is a trident, which is the back one. Then over here you've got a shield, which is 4 on it. All of them in different locations, and each of them can be put into each of these different holes. They also came with huge number of these flight stands of 3 different sizes. So you can actually have ships running right next to each other at different scale. Or running, like you can see the Paris frigate right next to the Epoch. Heavy cruiser, slip underneath. Now, although these ones I took my time to paint very well, I included a lot of detail, a lot of colour. The paint job that I did for the Covenant was a little bit more rushed. I received these approximately around about 4 or 5 days just before an Australian PAX event, which I was demonstrating all of this on. And rather than having just plastic, which they came in a standard grey and these ones were a slightly darker purple, I got a friend of mine to airbrush all the purple on, and then I did highlights in inks and washes, and also did the blue gel colors on it, as you can see. I do love the models, and they all come in plastic and were easy to build together. A little bit of cleaning had to occur between them, but yeah, generally they just snap together and work brilliantly. The mechanics of the game, well, they all come with like reference sheets of what they are, just like your Armada cards. There is no in the way of upgrades. You basically have to pick and choose what you're going to run with at each time, sort of thing. Obviously, the difference between the 2 factions are, while the humans or the UNSC have very strong and cheap ships, their weaponry is very much short range, and you need to get close. As you can see, most of their range is 15 to 30 inches. Once you get inside of that range, like really point blank, then they can do huge amounts of damage. But on the other hand, while they have strong armor and strong hull points, the Covenant of course have the likes of a defense array and energy shields. Now, this is the other thing that I loved about this game. Below here you can see 3 Admiral cards. Now each of them have a different point value, so 80, 120, 100. So at the start of each round you have these special 5 order dices here, and you roll them. Roll that one again. So you can see I've got 2 lightning, and just say that I got Zintal as my war chief. I've got a shield, 2 shields, and I've got a stave. Now, I've got some standard orders and I've got some special orders. So what I can do is I can use each of these lightnings to re-roll up to 2 attack dice. But these may only be re-rolled once, so I can't double up. But I can do them across different ships. I then have 2 shields that I can use to power the defense. And then I've also got a form up, which is the fleet commander may order the rebuilding of a battle group. Then I have some special abilities. If I have rolled these and say I use a focused attack, I use a form up, a power defense, and I use a form up, and I want to keep one of them for one of these special ones, I can therefore put it down the bottom into this special bold outline box, and that saves it for next turn. So next turn, rather than rolling 5 dice, I'm rolling 4. And as you can see, I got 2 shields, another lightning, and another set of sabers, which means I can use those 3 dice to do perfect time to strike, and I gain initiative that turn. Each of them have slightly different special orders. The standard orders for all of them are pretty much the same for most. Sometimes your character will be a lot different. So this one does not have any special. It has only 3 dice attached to it. So you can actually have a Space Supreme Commander or Imperial Admiral. You can potentially also, if you want to run down your points, have a minor character. And then your 5 dice pool will essentially be spread across, depending on the rules, it'll be spread across the various 2 commands, or this one will have its own 3 dice for itself. Same thing with the humans. You've got the likes of Lord Hood, Michael Stanford, Cortana. There were other admirals actually issued, including Master Chief and a couple of others that you could have purchased from Spartan Games. But again, they're getting exceedingly spare. I do enjoy the idea of a admiral being able to have these likes of special rules, the standard orders, and also special abilities if you are able to actually get the right dice. You'll also notice that they come with a special ability. So in this one, Vice Admiral Stanford states that you may reroll 2 fleet order dice once per turn. These are the fleet order dices. And that helps you to potentially, for example, let's roll. So I get 3 shields, 2 lightning. Now you can see that I have take it to them, which is 3. That increases the attack dice of each friendly security detail on board target enemy element by 2. Or I've also got prepare for boarders. This guy is very good for when I want to board enemy ships. Now, if I want to, I can use his special ability to take 2 or up to, re-roll 2. So I'd take maybe potentially the 2 shields and roll them again. And instead, I now have 4 lightning. So I can use 3 of those lightnings to do a special order of take it to them, and also 1 to use a focused attack. Pretty good. The game also came with cards for the terrain. Asteroids, just pretty much normal. The attack dice itself, it's a normal D6, but unlike the normal D6, it has a number of icons on it. So, a skull on it. If I move to the back end of it, it comes with this handy rule chart as well, so that's good. So you've got this dice can use as both as a defensive dice or as an attacking dice. So in some cases it will ask you to roll d6s, and it will ask you to roll these dice. So if I have a rating of 1, no dice are rolled because it's impossible. If it's got a rating of 2, then each of these 2 icons will count as 1 success, and a 1 counts as 1 success. On a 3, a 2 equals 2 successes each, so 2, 4, 6, and each one is a single. Then you get into the exploding roll, and that way I can actually re-roll a blank, which is this one, for every successful 2. And so forth. Alternatively, defense dice, when you're doing things like boarding action, that skull comes into play. It basically means that you're trying to do close combat and you failed a defense sort of thing when you're being boarded, etc. You have each of these vessels have a rating on their card. So as you can see, you've got a movement of 8, damage, build rating of 4. So each of them have a rating of 4. And depending on how badly you're damaged, or how actually your what you're trying to do, like if you have these what weapons you're actually trying to do, if they've got special weapons, or if they increase your efficiency at long range or short range, that will change where your actual firepower rating is. So most stand off with a 4, but if you see if I use missiles at long range, I get a +1. So instead of 4, it go up to 5. Anyway, it's almost been half an hour I've been talking, so I may not be able to upload all of this. So that's pretty much about the games. I do plan on trying to play some games of Halo to give some demonstrations, as well as continue on some Star Wars Armada. Over in the back, this is my next project. I have some Rebels Star Wars Legions to paint up. So, if you like, please put in some ideas as to colour schemes. I'm thinking maybe Rogue One, the Pathfinders, doing some sort of urban camo, dark browns and black even. Anyway, thank you for enjoying and watching this channel, and I'll see you next time. Bye.